It now feels like forever that Brett Kavanaugh has been on the Supreme Court, but it really wasn't that long ago that we were in the thick of his confirmation battle, trying to figure out if America would pass the incredibly low bar of choosing someone for the court that was not saddled by so many obvious, massive issues lurking in his past. And during that battle, there was an investigation by the FBI. But what was that investigation actually like? How deep was it? Was it designed to actually get us to the truth of who this person was, and was he qualified to be on the Supreme Court? Well, on Wednesday morning, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse's office released a June 30th letter from FBI Assistant Director Jill Tyson. As a result of this release, we've learned that the FBI's supplemental investigation happened at the direction of the White House, that the most relevant of the 4,500 tips the agency received were referred back to White House lawyers in the Trump administration, and that in the days of the follow-up investigation, 10 people were interviewed. It doesn't say this, but other reporting has confirmed that neither Christine Blasey Ford nor Kavanaugh were among those 10 people. And I'm not super obsessed with like true crime podcasts, and I've watched a little bit of like Mayor of Easttown, so I'm not an expert on the procedure, but I think the core people are supposed to be talked to at some point. And so they didn't do that. They collected tips. They didn't look into them. They gave them to the Trump lawyers as if to give them ammunition to then use in the public debates. They didn't talk to the core people. So, I mean, it's not like we have a lot of faith in the process that this is now destroying, but how could one have any faith that they discovered what might actually be lurking out there when they so clearly didn't care about the details?
Yeah, I mean, this story serves to confirm all your suspicions about how seriously they took various things along the way. The FBI is like, well, I don't want to be on the hook for not passing these along, but I'm not really going to look into them very much. They did the fact that the 4,500 most credible tips means one of two things. That one, there were 4,500 tips, and the FBI was like, yeah, these are all germane. They came in the same phone tip line. Yeah. Here, take them. Or there were way more than that, and they passed them along to essentially the group of people who had zero incentive to do anything with them. Yeah. That's depressing. That's sad. In terms of like the grand scope of this story and its ability to change anything about America, I just don't think it can do anything. I don't think it can change anything about America. I think it's sad and continues to jade people throughout this process. But like, yeah, it seems about right. I think in the grand scheme of things, Brett Kavanaugh's appointment to the Brett Kavanaugh's appointment to the Supreme Court is not like huge news if we look back on history, because someone similar with worse allegations is Clarence Thomas.
Sure,
and he's been on the court forever and still continues to wear the robe, and that was. But
isn't that kind of one of the reasons that Kavanaugh felt even worse? That it was an opportunity to reflect on apparently how little progress there's been in multiple decades.
I mean, no. I mean, we go back to the Kavanaugh thing. This was never going to be. Kavanaugh's thing was so frustrating because, and it was different from. It was different, in my opinion, from the Clarence Thomas issue. The Clarence Thomas issue was these two are coworkers at the time, and this guy is doing it now horribly. It sucks. The other one is picturing Brett Kavanaugh's, garden path road to being a Supreme Court justice for life, all the way back to when he was in high school drinking beers with PJ and Squee and doing horrible things at parties. They were separated by decades, like those issues. The big thing that would get me, I think there should still be an investigation to all 4,500 of these tips, and specifically with this in mind. And it's the reason why I compare it to Clarence Thomas, is if this behavior continued to at that point, where it was close to, like, after he was in the working world, and he should have been kicked out of all these opportunities that he had while in the working world. That, and in his judiciary career arc, that's the part where I'm like, we need to go in there and we could do an inquiry if more of this comes out. So I think people should continue to do it. I don't know what 4,500 tips are. It's just a total number.
It's like talking about space. It becomes a number so large that you can't even conceptualize it. Look, I think we might disagree a little bit about, I don't disagree about pragmatically the fact that they weren't as current affected people. I don't think that morally it should have any effect whatsoever. And one could say that at the very least, a guy that's going to be adjudicating the most important issues of our country, lying to our faces about it, is also a major cause for concern. And I was watching that happen in real time. Assuming
that's a great point. That's deep. I think that's a better point than anyone.
So
the fact that he's lying at the time. But because you could say there's a difference between a teenager doing something horrible and a 40-year-old man doing something horrible. And him lying to our face is way, way horrible. If those 4,500 tips end up bearing out that we can prove it, then yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, anyway, at least the details are out. We'll see if anything comes of it. This is America. It's 2021, so I doubt anything will, unfortunately.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.